interest that we all have in developing our riverfront, our marina, our walking trails. You're to be commended, and I certainly, myself and the City Council, certainly appreciate you being here tonight to get a view of the vision and the plans for Clarksville's new marina. We've been fortunate over the past year and a half, particularly the past few months, to be able to announce a major industry in Clarksville, for us all to be appreciative of others accepting Clarksville what we are, which is a great community. Others are now seeing that, and we're certainly honored that Clarksville is finally being recognized for the great city that we are and for the great people that we have here. So tonight is just another continuation of that. It's not just industry, now it's not just redeveloping Legion Street and Strawberry Alley and Riverside and our rails to trails. In the very near future, you're going to be invited to a walk on the Rails to Trails project, which is a pristine walkway about 3.6 miles long in the heart of our downtown that most people do not even know is there. Our Parks and Recreation Department and Street Department have been working hard and tirelessly to be able to clean that up and to make it something that I hope that you'll be very proud of. I have worked with a local company that has agreed to provide the 3.6 miles of trail, 10 feet wide with 4 inches of gravel. They've agreed to provide the gravel at no cost to the city of Clarksville. Yeah. We have another company, an asphalt company, that's agreed to sell us the asphalt for that project for their cost. It's going to save us probably $50,000 or $60,000. And it's that type of public participation that we're finding everywhere throughout this community. Those of you that serve on volunteer boards, those of you that serve on committees, those of you that continue to invest in your properties and continue to invest in your city, you should be recognized, and we recognize you tonight, and thank you for that. And as a community, we're appreciative of what we are maturing to be as a great city, finally recognized as the 5th largest city in the state of Tennessee and the 9th fastest growing city in the nation. Tonight, my job is to thank a few people. I have been so fortunate to have a great group of staff, a great group of city council members that have committed to the vision, that part of the vision tonight that you're going to be able to view, and the continuation of that vision. And first and foremost, I'd like to certainly, again, thank the City Council for their leadership role. I thank them for their commitment of making Clarksville the best it can be through these types of investments. So I'd like to ask the City Council if you'd stand, please.
Yeah.
Leaders here that are certainly stepping to the forefront and accepting challenges and accepting the commitment of moving our city forward so that we can have a place that we not only are proud of today, that we can be more proud of as the days and months and years continue to progress. Tonight, we're here about the marina. There's so many people that have had so much to do with this marina. The discussion, you'll learn more about this in just a few moments from our engineering firm. The first discussion on the marina started in 1978 at this location at a cost of $1 million. And here we are 30 years later, and we're finally going to see that come to fruition. And it requires a commitment of your leaders of this community, the City Council and others that are volunteering and those that are staff that are working hard to make this come to reality. And I hope that you're going to be very pleased with what you see tonight. The River District Commission, both past and present, we've had a very active River District Commission all the way back to 1978. The members of the River District Commission then, all the way through to now, should be recognized for their tireless efforts, for the many, many hundreds of hours that they have put into this particular project so that we would be able to have this dream of our city. So all of the past, there's some present River District Commission members that are present. Mr. Daniel Binkley is the chairman of the River District Commission. I'd like to ask you to stand and let's recognize them, past and present River District Commission. Thank you for your commitment to making this project come to reality. We want to also thank our public-private partnership, Mr. Greg Batts. Where is Greg? I saw him a moment ago. Greg Batts is our public-private partnership. For your investment in Clarksville.
Thank you.
Appreciate all that you're doing. And someone else that's in our group tonight that we should recognize. We have Miss Rossview High School, Katie Kennedy, here tonight. Katie, was that a surprise for her? Should always be ready, Katie. I've learned that. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to someone else that doesn't need any recognition. Before I do, I'll certainly express great appreciation for JJR Engineering. You'll learn more about them as Jim's going to introduce them. Thank you for all the hard work you've done and the cooperation that you put in to this project and working with everyone. And it's just going to be a great project for all of us to be able to be associated with. Jerry Clark and Associates, where are you at, Jerry? Thank you, Jerry. Jerry and John Clark, thank them. Great job. Thank you very much for all you do. We want to thank the Corps of Engineers. They've been very, very cooperative. They've accelerated and fast-tracked the process so they'll be able to move along on the Marina and be able to begin digging in the late spring, early summer. You'll learn about that. And, of course, TWRA, and Mr. Jeremy Oldham, who serves on the River District Commission also. We want to thank Jeremy. Jeremy, where are you? There you go, Jeremy. Thank you very much. Jeremy's helped us in a lot of ways through grants and through his knowledge and other things. So thank you very much, Jeremy. Finally, I want to express appreciation to a person that we all know and we all love. He's a person that has done a great job for the city of Clarksville as our chief of staff. Anytime you turn a project over to Jim Durrett, you know the project is going to be done, it's going to be done well, and it's certainly going to be done in a quality manner. It's an honor to be associated with Jim. It's an honor for me to work with him. He is one that has taken this particular project on and is just doing an excellent job. Jim, come up. Thank you so much for all that you're doing.
Just a second, I'd like to introduce our consultants and just kind of give you an idea. Bruce Lundy on my left with JJR and Dan Williams on my right. Those two guys, along with their team, have just been a pleasure to work with. I have to say I hadn't dealt with a lot of people in this type of industry, but I can't imagine that there's a better firm in the United States than JJR. Y'all are doing an awesome job for us, and we really appreciate it. Bruce and Dan are going to walk you through the presentation, probably be about 20 to 25 minutes. After that, we'll have a brief question and answer session. And what I'll do so everybody can hear the question, I'll try to make sure I'm close enough to the person where I can hear what they say. I'll repeat the question, and then Bruce, Dan, myself, or possibly even Greg will answer those questions. So I'm going to...
One more thing. I got someone and do not have to think for doing that. I forgot.
Okay.
A committee that has had a large part to the planning of this and been involved over the past year and a half, a large committee that expressed great interest in this and has met on many times, is the Marina Committee. I'd like to ask the Marina Committee to please stand and be duly recognized for the great work you're doing. How about the Marina Committee?
Bruce, Dan, I'm going to turn it over to y'all.
Okay. Is this microphone working? Can anybody hear me?
No.
Okay. We'll get it fixed in a second. Is that better? Okay. I'm Bruce Lundy, and this is Dan Williams, and we're here to talk to you a little bit about the Clarksville Marina and Fairgrounds Park reconstruction. It's one of those projects that if a professional services provider is lucky, gets once or maybe twice in a lifetime. This has been a glorious project to work on. I want to walk you through a little bit of the history and then show you a little of the graphics and what we're planning on doing. And then, as the mayor said, we'll open it up to questions. Back in the 70s, and probably most of the residents here know this already, the marina was floated as an idea that would bring revenue and interest to the city of Clarksville. There were early studies that were performed. There were lots of thoughts and lots of talks, but it really didn't progress from that time. Later on, it kept getting revived, and in the 80s and 90s and even the 2000s, more studies were done. And studies can tell you a lot of things, but they don't get you very far. So, okay. We're working on it. All the studies pretty much said the same thing, and that was, it's a good idea. And it's a buildable idea, it's something that may bring in revenue, but there just wasn't much drive to push it beyond that. In 2005, the River District Commission hired JJR to do another study, and we decided together to approach it in a slightly different manner than the statistical and marketing studies that had been done many times before. We looked at the park, the site, as to whether it was a buildable site, if the project would be constructible, if it was viable from a marketing standpoint, but most importantly, would it work? We developed a bunch of project parameters. We sat down with the River District Commission and talked about what the dream was, how the people envisioned the marina, and what that would bring to the table. We identified the desirable components, obviously, the docks and a place where your boat to be safe is one part of it, but there's a lot more to it in the marina setting, and I could go on for hours about that, but there's a lot there. And then we looked at the regional marinas. We went as far north as Green Turtle Bay and compared the regional marina facilities to what the dream was. That was important in the early part of the process, since marinas vary from part of the country to part of the country, and we've done them all across the United States, and no two regions do things the same way. And then we identified the opportunities and constraints. Essentially, that's what could you get for it, and what's going to be a gotcha for it. We identified that, wrote the report, sent it into the River District Commission, answered these big questions. How large should the marina be? Would it actually work? Because you have a river here that get nasty when the floods come. How much would it cost? And initial estimates vary, but it wouldn't be inexpensive. And would it be successful? And the would it be successful question really was answered in previous studies, and we were just able to confirm it by talking with the marina operators up on the Kentucky Lake. They said that they had been long waiting for a destination marina so that their boaters would have more things to do. And a lot of them are full. Greg's is one that has been a very successful marina out there. The boating community really wanted to expand this way. The biggest constraint, the gotcha that we had, was the fact that there isn't a basin there yet. The basin is necessary to float your boat, and when we started looking at a mid-sized marina and the amount of material needed to create the basin, it ended up being about 800,000 cubic yards. And to put that in context, if you went to Tennessee Titans Stadium and filled it for all the grassed area, it would be 216 feet high. It's a lot of dirt that we have. That made us take a step back, and we'll talk about that in a second. But we did realize that it would be hard to place all that material on the north half of the park, which was the original vision. What we did next is talk to the city about expanding the site to have more places to work. Again, it wasn't moving forward at that time. It wasn't until 2007, with Mayor Piper coming on the scene, that we had the drive, determination, and the organization in place to help make this happen. When I talk about that, the mayor and the staff realized that destination cities are what you want to be in this environment. And you need to be a destination city if you're going to grow and thrive. We also realized that after 25 years of studies, something should be done, since it's been confirmed so many times that it was a good idea. And the city's leadership was able to organize their funding and obtain grants to help us make the possibility of a marina happen without undue burden to the taxpayers. After we got kick-started by the mayor, we were able to move this forward and look at the entire Fairgrounds Park site as a place to dispose of the excavated materials and an opportunity to take this park and make it a better and more usable park for boaters and non-boaters alike. The existing park had a series of venues, the dog park, the play fields and the like, along with the launch ramp and a few other things that were very valuable and cherished by the city. So those are things that we put right on the list as things that had to be preserved or expanded to make this all happen. We also heard back that an amphitheater might be something that could really generate enthusiasm for using the park. And then we identified a part of the site as a commercial opportunity. The old JC's property is now part of this project and is being considered for expansion and growth in the near future. As we went through 2008, Dan and the crew came up with concepts that reflected the vision of the city and showed how this marina might possibly work. The new park is going to meet the new expectations for the park. The new marina is going to provide us a destination that we didn't have before. And part of facilitating this project without undue burden to the taxpayers was the creation of a public and private partnership. All these things were like the stars aligning for this project to move forward. The marina is now pretty much in its final stages of design and development for the actual pieces. We've been working with Greg Batts to make this happen. We realized that there were other opportunities to improve the situation in the park that maybe weren't so obvious. The existing launch ramp is served over the years, but really is rather steep and is undersized for when we get those bass tournaments coming in. So we took the idea of that launch ramp and moved it inside the basin, which removes it from the flow and makes it a much safer facility and allows us to have 4 lanes instead of 2 to make that launch ramp happen. The marina itself is going to be one of those state-of-the-art marinas that we've been seeing in the last 10 years that provides fueling and sanitary pump-out facilities, that has restroom and showers for the patrons, a small laundry, a small convenience store. We're in the contemplation of the next year or two. We're also looking at a dry stack structure for additional boat storage and full service storage and services, and then room for transient boaters to come in. The new slips may or may not look quite like this. These are ones on a river situation that was built in the last 10 years, but they're going to be somewhere between 30 and 120 feet in length. That'll allow the smaller boats to be accommodated, while the largest of the houseboats will also have a place to exist. The fuel dock is going to probably keep everybody on their way as they transit from here to the lakes to Nashville and back again, and then provide the needed facilities for the boaters in the marina. The store, obviously, is the store. Restrooms and laundries and showers are all wonderful facilities that I think that we're going to have a real shot at making this the Marina of the Year in probably 2012. This is a 3D overview of the entire marina portion of the facility. As you can see, we have an entrance that is vectored towards the downstream end that allows us to have adequate flushing. We've done some studies that show that it's not going to be silting in anytime in any reasonable future. Covered docks, dry stack, and the like, and integrating it with a park pavilion structure that we've been calling in-house Pavilion Point to this point, which is going to be a facility that will allow people to have events at the park above the floodplain and totally ADA accessible that will seat somewhere between 80 and 100 people, that will allow people to use the facility indoors and outdoors. We'll have a picnic facility below and access to the river with a series of cascading steps. And I'll turn it over to Dan because this is his forte.
I'm going to move over to the other side here so that Bruce and I don't start buzzing or causing trouble here. This is your building. This is going to be a public building. John and Jerry designed it. They brought some images. They brought some images, and they'll be happy to answer some questions afterwards of some of the park pavilions and structures that will be in the park. And as Bruce mentioned, we have to move a lot of earth, so everything's going to be new in the park because there's going to be a lot of movement.
He turned you down.
Oh, he turned me down? Must not like what I said. But this is your building. It's going to be a public building. It's 2 stories tall. It's an overlook. It's actually sitting where the existing boat launch is located. You can see the upper deck. That will be open all day long, so you can go out there and look up the river and actually see downtown. This is the materials that we've been working with, or John and Jerry have been working with. They're native Tennessee stones, limestones and sandstones. The stone river edge that was in the 3D drawings looks like that was an actual built project. So you can sit on them, you can fish off of them, you can walk up and down. These are the benches that were selected by the park committee. And the trash receptacles will be very decorative, and they'll have the logo of the park on it. And a nice post light that you see a lot of in waterfront projects. And the banners will be on them. This is another view of that point. So you can see the 2-story, the underfloor will have picnic tables in it. You can use that as well. And then the second floor is open for those banquets and special events. This is a view of the marina and the river walk as you come into the mouth of the marina. And the building, that point pavilion structure, the way that it's designed, it sticks out on the point. And there'll be a stone retaining wall that kind of helps hold up the building. And that's a good place to identify Clarksville in some manner. So when people come up and down the river, they'll see Clarksville. The river walk will have a bridge on one end of it because there's a large culvert pipe and a stream that comes through the site. And this bridge will cross that. Very decorative and park-like structure. Underneath that bridge, we have to maintain that stream bottom because during flood periods or rainy periods, the water rushes pretty good through there. So we're going to create a natural looking feature that looks like a native stream. This is a view of the river walk with that bridge and then looking over to the marina itself. We mentioned a little bit earlier, the pond will be changing its shape and size from the existing pond. The pond is proposed to be 3 times, a little bit more than 3 times actually, the size of your existing pond. Because we've heard throughout this process that that's a very important aspect of this park. And for the kids and the adults, they really use that facility. But one of the things we wanted to do was make it look more natural so that it would be a good habitat for fish. We've been very successful in designing ponds like this in the past and very successful in creating fish habitats. At the same time, we're able to undulate the edge of the pond and create green spaces that will be mown, that you will actually have 3 times more shore edge line to fish from, so you won't be elbow to elbow in some of those fishing tournaments. The here's some photographs of the actual built projects of those types of ponds.
Again, as we were going through the process of developing the pond, it was clear to us that the fishing rodeos are an important part of the heritage of this park, and it's important to make that fishing a wonderful experience for people. So even though it's much more naturalized than the existing pond is, it's actually going to be a better fishing environment, and you're going to have more opportunities for a better variety of fishing within this pond.
Also, one of the things that will happen with this pond that you'll see over time, there'll be boardwalks and concrete walks and grassed areas and natural areas. What you'll see over time, people will use it for not only fishing, but they'll use it for education. Kids will come down here for field trips, and you'll have opportunities to have interpretive signs and interpretive classes. There'll be picnicking and walks.
Okay, Dan.
This is a view of the amphitheater, or the proposed amphitheater, with the pond as a backdrop to it. The sport fields or play fields for the pee-wee football and soccer and different things like that. And the large pavilion.
This facility is going to be a little bit better than the ones that are out there right now. We're designing it in concert with the Parks Department. They want to be able to turn the fields 90 degrees every season so that the ends of the field don't get all rutted up. You will have 3 fields here. They'll be better and bigger and actually a much nicer experience. You want to talk about that large pavilion, Dan?
This is a large pavilion. Again, there's some pictures of it over on the side, but the large pavilion will accommodate 2 picnics occurring at the same time. There's picnic areas on either end of the structure. It's up on a little rise. You can see, so you can sit up underneath the building on benches and watch the games going on, or you can sit on the little rise of land and watch the games going on. And there's enough space there for 3 fields that can be turned 90 degrees every year so that the grass will be maintainable. This is a view of the marina itself from the Riverwalk and that development zone at the JC properties that we were talking about a little bit earlier. So you'll be up a little bit higher when development comes, and you'll be able to look right into the marina and the Riverwalk, and this is what we were calling the urban area where people might be able to come and dine and recreate in the marina.
We were asked to talk just briefly about the economic impacts of this. Remember that this thing was studied in depth over the last 30 years. We did some more studying. It's just kind of what we did. And as we worked with the Michigan State University, who is a universal leader at this kind of stuff, they actually had a program that talks briefly about the fallout or the other inputs besides the actual profitability of the marina. And what they're looking at right now with this size marina build out is probably in excess of $5 million a year of positive net input into the city. Increased lodging, increased restaurant uses, increased services, and a whole lot. And now we're into the important stuff. When is this going to happen? Well, the nearly ready documents are in the city's hands right now. They got them this morning for review, and we should be getting our permit in the next 2 months. We should be going out for bid in mid-May, and we'll probably get the first shovel in the dirt sometime in late June. That basin will take quite a bit of work to complete, as you can imagine. But we're looking at the basin itself being completed by springtime, and then the docks and the dock accoutrements being installed in spring and early summer, and then Marina will probably open in late summer of 2010. And wanted to let everybody to know, since we're really doing an awful lot to the park, and a lot of the existing plant material will be lost, that it will probably take another year, till 2011, before the park is completely open again. And I neglected to mention this. I wanted people to be aware of it. The existing arboretum trees are being protected. We are continuing to use that, and as part of this, it will be even a better arboretum when it's all done. And then finally, like I said earlier, this is one of those dream projects that professional services providers rarely get. And that's been involved with this. And I apologize if I've missed any of the groups, but these people have all been instrumental in making this thing a reality. I'm not going to read through them all. You all know how to read. I want to thank you all.
Before we open it up for questions and hopefully answers, Greg, I don't know if you want to say anything, or I know you're kind of shy, but if you want to, you can. If you don't, you can just answer questions.
Come on, Greg.
I'm kind of putting him on the spot. I didn't tell him I was going to do this.
First of all, this is the biggest group I've ever spoken from, so bear with me a little bit. I do want to thank the mayor, the Marina Committee, the city council, and really JGR and everyone else here for really talking to me. It's kind of funny. I think the first time I heard anything about this was probably 2004, and it's funny. Sammy Stewart happened to come to me and asked me what I thought about Marina in Clarksville, and I said, this is the greatest thing that's happened to the western part of Kentucky and Tennessee, and I'm going to get used to this coming across. I'm naturally from Indiana, but this area needs a place, a metropolitan area where boaters can come to for number one. You may or may not know it, but this is part of the intercoastal water system. You can actually come out into Mobile Bay from here, where you can hit the Great Lakes, and we've literally had a boat come all the way from New Zealand and stay at Prizer Point. And a lot of these boats are not even coming down this branch of the waterway. They just get up by the Ohio River and keep on going north. They say at any one time there's 1,500 boats doing this trip, at least certain legs of it. And not only that, but you got all the boats on Kentucky Lake and all that, and Lake Barkley, that they really don't have a town to go to. If they want to go see a play or they want to go, want to go to a metropolitan area, the only place at all is to get up to Nashville, and then half the time you go up there, you're parked on the main river, and things can happen. You have bums sleeping out there, and anyway, I don't want to get into all that. Anyway, it's going to be great from that perspective that you're going to have a lot of traffic coming and going, and they're actually going to be staying here. And once they stay here and see what a nice city this is, you're going to get people that come and end up living there. I'm amazed. I've owned Prizer Point now. We're starting our 9th year of owning that. And in that small community, and it's a very, very small microcosm of this area, but I'd say something, 60% of the people that live there started out by boating and coming to that marina. And it's really, it's amazing that people have a good time. They come for just, come through, and a percentage of people are going to come to Clarksville and say, man, what a great place. The growing things are going on, we're getting attention, but you're going to get other people say this would be a great place to retire to. Anyway, I don't want to get too long-winded on that one either. But the idea of the park system, my in-laws are big bike riders. They travel the world to ride bikes. And you've got the trails programs taking off. There's going to be biking and hiking trails along here. You're going to see tourism. People are going to want to come downtown, come to the destination of Clarksville. You're going to see people coming from Nashville coming in. You're going to see people wanting to spend time here. And they're going to spur off, and they're not just going to, it doesn't have to be for boaters. They may just want to walk around and look at birds. They may want to, just watch the boats go up and down. They may, go to museums or whatever, but you're going to see people start using this area more. You're going to see the park. I'm amazed because I really have to drag people, 12 miles off the interstate where we are right now. But see all the traffic that's going along here and all the people that park's sitting right there, and it gets used quite a bit, don't get me wrong, but when you give people things to do, they're really going to come and use this. There's an awful lot of people in this area, and right now, and I know it's easy to overlook what you have when you see it every day, but you've got the greatest asset in the world. You don't know how many cities would kill to have a river run this is going to be an area that some people are just going to want to come visit. Some people are going to want to stay. Some people are going to want to live there. And I think you're going to see, just like Chattanooga, Tennessee, saw their downtown be revitalized. You're going to get a lot of attention, and people are going to snowball, and I think eventually you're going to see this whole area down through here be revitalized, and restaurants and shops come in, and just keep adding more and more down here. The more people that come down here, the more other amenities and businesses they're going to need, and more people are going to want to live there, and it just all kind of feeds on itself. So I think I'm thrilled. My family, my wife Lisa, and my kids going to be here. They had something going on tonight, but we're thrilled to be a part of this, and we are going to put every effort to make this the top spot.
We'll go ahead and open the floor for any questions that anybody might have. Any questions? All right, everybody loves it then. Okay, we got one right down here.
I was wondering when or
The question was, when was the Wilma Rudolph Pavilion going to be rebuilt? As part of our work with JJR, obviously the marina was the first thing that we were looking to get accomplished. And as we were working through the marina, the tornado came through and tore the pavilion down. But the amphitheater and the pavilion are all part of an ongoing project. Once we get the marina started, groundbreaking going, and that project moving right along, then the design will immediately start on the amphitheater and on the pavilion. Yes, sir.
Jim, is the Riverwalk going to get completed so that its completion will link in with the completion of the marina, so that we have a unified riverfront going all the way from the marina back into downtown?
Right now, as part of this project, the Riverwalk will terminate right behind, Bill Roberts is in here, I saw him somewhere, but right behind Bill Roberts, his boat store down there. But we are, with the River District Commission and Lyle Cook Martin, we're working on phase 2 of the Riverwalk, and that will eventually hook on there. It'll tie into the section where the pedestrian overpass is, and then we have the part of the Riverwalk that's built through McGregor Park, and Lyle Cook Martin also is doing the northern end, what we're calling the northern end on the Pressler property that the city bought this year, that will eventually tie it in all the way up to the confluence of the two rivers, and then hopefully to add a pedestrian bridge across Red River and tie it into Fort Defiance. So basically you'll be able to go from Fort Defiance all the way to the marina. Yes, sir.
Jim, I'm getting a lot of questions from folks that I hit Greg up with earlier in one of our meetings, that can we get a website or something up that would that people could go to get information on what the amenities of the marina will be, and what kind of dock slip sizes you'll have, and later on I'm sure I could get established maybe pricing ranges, because I'm getting a lot of questions and people are really interested in. You can put something on the web where they maybe can contact you, or you put that information up. I think it would be real helpful.
Yes, in fact, I went to get the domain name Clarksville Marina, and it's actually a marina in Australia called Clarksville Marina. So we have a website. It is up, ClarksvilleMarinaTN.com. Now, right now it's pretty generic, but there's a page in there for you to, if you're interested in a slip. At this point, we're going to try to build the slips that people want. That's one reason I want to block in a bunch of different sizes. Right now, I've had about 65 people request slips. We're not asking for any money. We're not asking for anything up front. But this helps me to determine the mix and sizes of slips that'll get this going. And there's actually a page right on there. You can go ahead and just fill out the information and request what size slip you want. It's kind of hard to lock in a price when we don't know what's going on. I'm a firm believer, I always tell you, if there's a best time to be building, unfortunately for a lot of things going on in the world, Things aren't going as well for them, but in this particular situation, the prices still has come down drastically. In building docks, I'm hoping that continues on, not for the rest of the world, but from I hope it goes great, but from a building standpoint, I'm hoping our costs are going to be significantly less than what we thought they were. So I can't really price anything in until we get close to that stage.
That website was ClarksvilleMarinaTN.com. Is that right, Greg?
Correct.
I saw somebody back here. Yes, ma'am.
I wondered where we were, you were talking about getting close on permitting. What permits do we still need, do you still need, and where is all of that in the loop?
Oh, I can answer that.
Okay.
The state permit is in the public notice cycle right now. The public comment time for the state permit closes about April 9th. The core permit, which is the big one, is going out for public comment. If it hasn't gone out today, it will be going out within the next week. It's a 30-day cycle for public comment. Hello? And with that, hopefully we don't get anything that causes any issues. I don't see how they could, but we will have to respond to any comments that come in, and at that point, the Corps has been very positive towards writing the permit immediately thereafter. That fits in with our schedule, so that's not delaying us in any way, shape, or form. Knock on wood.
Yes, sir.
What about the environmental assessment that was required for both those permits? That followed it on the
Actually, it preceded it. We have performed the required environmental assessment, historic artifacts work. The permit application itself, when printed out, was filled a 9-inch binder with all the assessments that were required to make this a legal document. JJR has done a lot of marinas, and we've gone through a lot of the permitting processes. So what we did is we started, I believe, right when we kickstarted this thing in 2007, with a free pre-permitting meeting with the Corps and with the TDEC and the TWRA, and sat down and hashed out exactly what their expectations were in the state of Tennessee and for this district, and we met their expectations and then exceeded them some. So they've been very complimentary to us about the thoroughness of the permit application. That stuff has already been done by the Corps. No, the Corps doesn't do that. We do that and submit it to the Corps. They've already evaluated it.
Well, let me go over here real quick. Back in the back.
The commercial facilities at the marina, will they be operated by private business or by, say, the Parks and Rec?
The question was, would the commercial facilities at the marina be operated by the private developer or by the city of Clarksville Parks and Rec? And they will be operated by Mr. Batts. The young lady here on the front row. What if all the boat slips are full? I think everybody in this room would be smiling. We may have to build more. Back in the back.
Quick question, the playground facility that's down there right now for the kids, is that going to be salvaged, removed, or what's going to happen to that?
We kind of just put a footprint over that thing and we're working around it. So it's really no change to that other than that new large pavilion is located right next to it, and there's some enhanced parking. You can probably see that better on one of the big drawing out in the lobby, but you can actually still see the footprint of the community-built playground. Yes, sir.
Jim, could you comment on any rentals that might be available at the marina and on the pond itself?
Well, there's been a lot of talk about possibly, because the pond is going to be 10 acres, there's been some talk about having some paddle boat rentals, and that's something that I think you'll see in the future. But I'll let Greg talk about boat rentals because I know Greg does that.
I'm sure we'll probably look in this area. We definitely have boat rentals, probably pontoons, some fishing boats, ski-type boats, potentially jet skis in this area. There's enough of a market up here that we might be able to do that and make it work a little bit better. So, but we do plan on having, I don't
Yes, Jim, can you comment on the restaurant facilities, what you guys are looking for, or what the consensus is?
Well, the city's not really looking at any restaurant facilities, but the area that's where the old JC building used to be, there's about 10 acres that's going to be created in there that can be used as a commercial development zone. As part of our contract with Mr. Batts, he has first right of refusal on that, but the city does have input on what goes there, the decor of it, and that type stuff. And I think, I won't speak for Greg, but I think Greg's looking at some mixed-use stuff, restaurants, possibly condos, retail, that type stuff. Anybody else? Oh,
Jim, where are all these teams going to play their games while all this construction's going on?
Parks and Rec has done a great job. Missy Graham, she's our new Parks and Rec director. Wave your hand, Missy. She's short. You might ought to stand up. Yeah. And Kevin Callan, the assistant director, we kind of saw that as an issue, especially when we decided that we were going to have to use the whole park to get rid of most of the dirt. And so they worked with the school board, with the school system, and I think we've got all that worked out, and I think it's going to be a great arrangement for all those kids that use the fairgrounds for these couple of years that we're going to have it under construction. Somebody, yes, sir.
It sounds like the entire park then will be closed during the construction.
June 15th, the entire park will be closed, and we really don't have any choice other than, and we just kind of set a drop dead date, and June 15th, that's going to allow Parks and Rec to get a lot of the equipment that's down there now. A lot of that will be salvaged, and a lot of the light poles, the light fixtures, trash cans, benches, all that stuff. And so that will allow the contractor to start. So we need some time to be able to get that stuff out of there. Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain about the realignment of the entrance?
The actual entrance to the fairgrounds is moving to the south, which is out towards Montgomery Central. We're moving it closer down to the intersection. It's not aligned with Hillwood Drive, but we're moving it closer down to Hillwood Drive to hopefully to eventually be able to line those two intersections up and create a signalized intersection right there. We still think the warrant's going to be there for a traffic signal once we start this process. So hopefully we'll see a traffic signal at the new entrance. Yes, sir.
Jim, you keep calling this a fairgrounds, and is there going to be a fairgrounds anywhere?
There is on the southern end, close to the Cunningham Bridge. There's two big, large areas, and Bruce or Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but those areas are actually bigger in size than the current fairgrounds area. And there's obviously, because the amphitheater's up there, there's going to be a lot of parking there, but there are two big areas there that you can hold a fair in.
We're working with the electric utility also to improve the electrical service to that end of the park, just to facilitate the fairgrounds.
Yes, sir.
With the tornado, when it hit down there, there was a huge problem with the amount of traffic going down by the fairgrounds during that time period. You know, with all this additional draw to the fairgrounds, what is the city going to do to alleviate some of that traffic issues down there?
Well, that's a state route, but part of our plan, it's actually not part of this project, but it is a project that the city's been working on for quite some time. The intersection of 4813, the bypass, Riverside Drive, and Cumberland Drive. There's going to be additional lanes added at that intersection, and hopefully that's going to move it. We're hoping that one day the state talks about doing something to 374, completing it on out to 149, and part of that project is taking it from the fairgrounds all the way out to 149, and we're just hoping that the state will move forward on that and see that as a need for us. I would recommend you contact some of our state people, though. Not putting any pressure on them, but back in the back.
Where are the junior pro football leagues and the other venues that the children play, their sport leagues at? Where are those going to be relocated to in the meantime?
They're relocated to some of the school systems fields. I'm not sure which ones those are, but I know our Parks and Rec has been in touch with all the league presidents. It's my understanding that they have, and so they're working through the leagues to facilitate exactly where they'll go.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
What is the annual financial commitment we'll be expecting to make as a city for this project? You know?
Well, that's a good question. Nobody's asked a question about money, and but obviously this is an expensive project, and we showed a presentation to the council probably 3 or 4 months ago. The actual raw marina costs are somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 to $9 million. That's for the marina itself. Back in 2005, the number, I think, $8 million was used, so we're pretty much on target. But when we went and looked at the entire park, renovating the park, adding the amphitheater, the tornado, took down the pavilion, so we're adding a new enhanced pavilion, better pavilions as far, when I said enhanced pavilion, I'm speaking of the Wilma Rudolph Pavilion, but all of our shelters are a lot bigger. So the mayor, along with the council, they went to the Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund, and they're actually going to be financing this project. And the way they did it, they refinanced some current notes that we have, and we extended our years, but currently the city's debt service is somewhere around $6.7 million. Is that about right, Mayor?
7 million.
About $7 million a year is the city's current debt service without this project. Once this project, we borrow the money and start paying for it, our debt service will still remain about $7 million. So by refinancing and using some innovative financing, I have to give the mayor a lot of credit for that too, because he's the one that kind of brokered that deal, and he didn't tell me to say that either. But our debt service will stay the same, and so our taxes won't go up, our debt service won't go up. We're just extending the life of some of those loans. All right, it's about, anybody else got a question? Okay, a couple more right up here.
Okay, what are we gonna call this project? I gotta have a record.
Ms. Williams asked, in case you couldn't hear, what we're going to call the project, and that's a very good question. There's been a lot of talk about it. The little building, not the little building, but the beautiful building out on the point. We call it Pavilion Point, and it probably needs a name. Somebody's changed it to Point Pavilion, but that's not going to work either. But what we propose to do, Ms. Williams, is go through, the mayor and the council created a facilities designation committee, and they're the committee that's responsible for naming public parks, roads, that type of stuff. So we're fixing to start that process to send this through them. And the marina has been officially named Clarksville Marina, but the park itself, it may stay Fairgrounds Park, but it could change. I really don't know. Yes, sir.
So where will the water park be located? It's not in the plans now for this at all.
The question was, where would the water park be located? Is it in the plans at all right now? When the water park idea was first talked about, JJR was involved in that conversation. They looked at what we were looking to commit to build a water park. They looked at some throughout the United States and got footprints of them and tried to place them in current Fairgrounds Park, and it just won't work. So we're not stepping back, but we're taking a little bit different approach. Not necessarily at Fairgrounds Park, but maybe somewhere in the general vicinity. And it's just a different location. But I don't think that project has died. I know it hasn't.
Jim, is there any plans to extend to the south of Cunningham Bridge as far as future expansion of the park?
There's not, the question was, is there any plans to extend to the south of the existing park, which is back towards Montgomery Central? There's not any current plans to do that, but I think that is a long-range vision that a lot of us have. Okay, well, Mayor, you probably want to say something to close. You know, there is one thing I want to say. Bruce touched on it a little bit, and Greg touched on it a little bit. Bruce touched on this marina and this park becoming a regional destination. And as a lifelong Clarksvillian, I really, really believe that that's what's going to happen, that this is going to be a regional destination. But it's also, once you go inside that park, for the people that live here in Clarksville, and from the people that come outside of Clarksville, there's going to be so many other destinations once you get inside the park. You're going to have the Marina, you're going to have the Point Pavilion, you're going to have the sports field, you're going to have the dog park, you're going to have the amphitheater, you're going to have Wilma Rudolph Pavilion, and you're going to have a 10-acre pond there for kids to fish around, and then just a massive amount of walking trails throughout the entire park. So it is going to be a regional destination, but once you get inside of it, there's going to be a lot of smaller destinations that everybody can enjoy. Whether you boat, whether you like to walk, whether you like to fish. Bruce, Dan, Greg, any of y'all have anything? We certainly appreciate everybody coming out. I think it's a great crowd. Thank you. There are some boards around the room that got a little bit closer up views of some of the buildings, so we encourage you to look at those.